Hello everyone, Jason Alea back here again, and today we're going to be talking about the box office for The Suicide Squad. Now, the film has been getting pretty great reviews for the most part, but the box office is a completely different story. Now, the film worldwide is at $72,200,000, but the opening weekend domestically is $26,500,000. That is not good. That's even below the lowest estimate of $30 million to $40 million. And since this is a film that costs $185 million to make, Warner Brothers probably expected this movie to make at least a tiny bit more. But whatever you try to spin, this is not good for the movie. And I don't think it's going to make its budget completely back. Maybe by an inch could be profitable at best, but most likely this is going to be a box office failure. But I'm not sure, because the marketing for this movie has not been pushed as hard as some other comic movies as I've seen lately. In fact, there's not as much marketing for this at all. So I am interested to see what the actual break-even point is, whether it is going to be over 400 million or 300 million. I think maybe around 300 or 200 million, I think, because of the low amount of marketing. I mean, that is a possibility. So maybe this film does have a chance, but I'm not sure. But still, these are not looking good. These really aren't. Now, what is going to have to help this movie is word of mouth and legs. Now, if we look at the first film, yeah, it made a whole lot of money, mostly because it was at a different time when a lot of more theaters are open. But if we look at the weekend, it made $133 million on opening weekend, but it dropped 67%. It did not have legs. It dropped even lower, and that is because the word of mouth was absolutely terrible. But here, it seemed like the word of mouth is that the film is absolutely great and one of the best DCEU films to date. So I believe that this movie is going to have much better legs than the original. It's going to make less, but its legs are going to be not as bad. So also comparing it to other films for that released on HBO Max in theaters on the same day, it seemed like the only two that seem to be doing pretty well are Godzilla vs. Kong and The Conjuring. Now, The Conjuring is a much lower budgeted film, and it made a little less money than The Suicide Squad, and it's right now at $197 million. I think maybe that's where this film could stop around at, maybe. I'm not sure. But I'm going to predict that's going to make numbers like this. Space Jam: A New Legacy is a failure in every way. Like, it made a little more than the Suicide Squad on opening weekend, but it is still a box office failure. 150 million needs to make over, and yet it is at 135 million. Not good. Seem like the only major successes are this. Mortal Kombat cost like around 50 million to make, and it's only at 880 million. That is a failure. So HBO Max has been more missed than hits. Even Wonder Woman 1984 was a complete miss back then, but that's when the pandemic also was still a big factor. So even though that movie wasn't good, the pandemic still was going to kill it. And now we are getting rumblings of Delta variant a little bit more people are less eager to go to theaters now again, only a little bit, but also the marketing wasn't as strong and there wasn't as much interest, especially since it's a sequel to a film that not a lot of people like. I think all that factored in on this movie's failure because it's a sequel to a film that not a lot of people like, because marketing isn't as strong, and because COVID obviously had took away some theaters. Obviously, there are less theaters now where it could show, but yeah, that's the reality of the situation. It has word of mouth and legs that to its advantage, but I don't think it's going to be that much. And in my opinion, this is going to be another failure for DC. And that's sad because I want this movie to succeed. But it seemed like all the films that are released strictly to theaters are actually the ones that are the most successful. Most notably, Fast and Furious 9 and A Quiet Place Part 2. Those are the films that seem to be doing pretty well. Godzilla vs. Kong was like a lucky one for Warner Brothers, and Conjuring 3 was a very low budget film where it could make that as much money as it did and still be a success. So, and this is an expensive movie, The Suicide Squad is. And I don't think it's going to make money back. That's just me. We'll see when its box office run is done. We'll see how it goes. But I don't think it's going to do that good unless some sort of miracle happens. Whether it could pull a Greatest Showman where it actually makes more money every weekend. But I don't think it's going to do that. But maybe the word of mouth can help it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.